I was having a conversation with my host sister and talking about Squidward, and she was like, "Who is Squidward?" And I was like, "Who is Tadeus?" Hey guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Montana, and I was an exchange student in Germany last year. Now I'm back in the US, but I still make these YouTube videos about German and American culture, and I'm super excited for today's video theme. It's more on the younger teen side, but I finally came up with enough ideas so that I can make a whole video about this. Hopefully you can already tell what I'm going to be talking about from the thumbnail, but I'm going to be talking about different TV shows and just media that most teens born in the 1990s to 2000s range grew up with in Germany versus the United States. And for me, I thought it was really funny to see how different but yet the same it was. There were certain things that I was blown away that people still watch in Germany, like a lot of US shows that I didn't realize are also watched in Germany. Okay, so getting into the actual video, the first difference that I had that I could not believe when I went to Germany was that in SpongeBob, there's a character and he is an octopus or a squid. No, he's a squid. He's not an octopus. And he is blue, and in the US, his name is Squidward because the name for squid is squid and then Squidward, so that is his name. His name is Squidward Tentacles. But in Germany, I guess Squidward doesn't really make sense given that squid is not squid in German, so the name is different. And they have renamed him Tadeus. Why Tadeus? I actually did not believe my host sister because I was talking about SpongeBob and I said, and of course SpongeBob is the same. So, but it's SpongeBob Schwimmkopf, I think, which means SpongeBob Spongehead. Instead of in the US, it's SpongeBob SquarePants, which also that would not translate into German. But Tadeus, who chose Tadeus and why Tadeus? That did not make any sense to me. And like I was saying, I was having a conversation with my host sister and talking about Squidward, and she was like, "Who is Squidward?" And I was like, "Who is Tadeus?" The next TV show that I noticed was the same in Germany versus the US is Bob the Builder. A lot of people knew what that was, and a lot of my two host siblings both knew what that was. Of course it was in German, but they definitely knew what that was, and I'm pretty sure that may be a British show. Not too positive on that, but that was kind of shows for when you were 4 to 6 years old, and they were both in Germany and in the US, which I thought was cool because we kind of talked about that. And then also Victorious. Victorious was a show published by Nickelodeon, and it was about Victoria Justice, and she's this singer, and it's such a good show. It's kind of crazy now that I think about it, now that I've watched some of the episodes again. Some of the things they talk about are just a little crazy, I think, for what the age range projected was. I think it was supposed to be for people in elementary school. But I still remember watching some of the Victorious off of Netflix in German with my host sister, sitting there, and we were both like, "Oh, we've watched this whole thing maybe 2 or 3 times," because that was just such a popular show when we were younger. The next thing that I just could not wrap my head around when these conversations and this kind of media and finding this out always happened at the dinner table when I was with both my host siblings, and I would bring something up and they would be like, "No way, we listened or watched that too in Germany." I didn't realize that there's a Nintendo game console, and in Germany, you don't pronounce your W's like a W. You don't say we, you say V. And I just did not think that Germans would actually call a Wii console a V, but my host brother did, and it was so funny to me because I didn't even know that Wii's were so popular, and to hear them being called V's was just so funny. But do you guys say, if you want to say multiple Wii consoles, do you say V's? Let me know how you say multiple, the plural of Wii or V. The next show that I have, or similarity, is called Descending mit der Maus, and I talked about this in a previous video because I thought it was a very cool show. It was much more complex than most American shows for kids, because if you haven't seen that video or you don't know what Descending mit der Maus is, then it's this video with a little cartoon mouse and an elephant, and they just switched from cartoon to like the production of bicycle parts, and they try to teach kids about engineering and about real world things and media in German. And so the reason I know what it was because our teachers at the language camp made us watch it, and we were all very, very confused, but it was still a good show. On the other hand, in the United States, I was kind of watching through some of our old TV shows and media. Our show, it's called Fetch with Ruff Ruffman, and it is very, very similar. Not the exact same with the complexity. I always call it Ruff, but it's not Ruff, it's Fetch. And it's very similar to Descending mit der Maus, because he's this cartoon dog and then shows more real life things. There are some differences, but those were kind of similarities that I saw. I wonder which one came first. I might have to look that up, because what if one copied the other? That would be very interesting. The next one that was funny was Phineas and Ferb, because they are both the same, and I thought it was really funny that in America it's Dr. Heinz Doofenshmirtz, and it's kind of a play on German, like a fake German name. So when people would say like Dr. Heinz Doofenshmirtz, they would think that it was German. I don't think that it was actually a German name. I really doubt that. But it's the same in Germany. For some reason I figured that they would change it because maybe it would come off as offensive or just weird to have that in German versions of Phineas and Ferb, but they didn't change it. And also the theme song of Phineas and Ferb in German is just so much funnier to me than the one in English. I don't know why. Please take a look, watch both of them, let me know which one you think is funnier. But to me, the German theme song was much better. My dad is obsessed with Phineas and Ferb. I don't know why, but when I was younger, that was the show that he would always want me to watch, and I wasn't the biggest fan of it. I liked the ones, I didn't really like cartoon shows, so I wasn't the biggest fan of SpongeBob either. My favorites were Hannah Montana and Wizards of Waverly Place and Victorious and Zoe 101. The next one that is a difference that is not so much 2000s. It's not my generation time, it's kind of the younger generation, but I've definitely seen it, is that Moana is not Moana in German or in Europe at all, I don't think. It's actually Vaiana, and they changed this for numerous reasons. Moana is the name of an ice cream company and some other, like, maybe a person who they didn't necessarily want to be associated with the movie in Europe, and so Disney decided to change the entire name of Moana, because that's the title of the movie, to Vaiana when they released it in Europe. And even the songs are different, so a lot of the songs say like Moana, and then instead they say Vaiana, which was kind of funny to hear the difference. For some reason, it really is interesting to me when like media is changed across cultures. There's some other instances of this happening in Toy Story or something. I think with the aliens, they changed, if you've seen Toy Story, that's a very American movie, but they changed some characters in there when they released it in China and other cultures because it didn't make sense what they were saying and like what they were dressed as. It's not German related, but I just love looking at the differences in media. Just very interesting to me, not sure why. And then my very last difference in German and American media that I really did not believe at all is that Dora the Explorer speaks English in German TV. So she doesn't teach Spanish, which is just, what? The whole purpose of Dora in the United States was to teach children Spanish, and so she was a character from Mexico, and she had her little friend Boots, and they would go on these adventures and then like talk about things in Spanish and try to teach little kids in America Spanish. But because in Germany English is more prevalent, or parents would rather their children learn English from TV than Spanish, which to me, I don't really know, because Spanish is definitely less common in Europe, but Germany is still kind of in proximity to Spain, so that kind of surprised me too. But anyway, Dora speaks English. Like, what? What? She just speaks German normally and then speaks English when she's like trying to teach you something. So I just could not wrap my head around that. Apparently, Dora speaks English in most other countries too, because, I mean, it makes sense. Like, if you have a kid in Russia and they're watching Dora, you would most likely rather your kid learn English than Spanish. I just figured that since Dora is from Mexico, I don't know. I was being a dumb American there, and I was likely being a dumb American with the rest of these because I just didn't realize how much media stems across cultures, so movies and TV shows and music and everything. It's just so dispersed now because I guess communication is just so much more interconnected, and I think that is one thing that I just really understood and learned more after living in Germany, was that we're so much more connected than you think we are, and especially with teen lives and teen lifestyles are so much more similar than you'd think, because even though the US is thousands of miles away from Germany, the teens and like our teen experiences of me and my host siblings and my friends were all still very similar. We still watch these same shows, which is kind of crazy, and we still know the same theme song to Phineas and Ferb, which, I don't know, it was just really cute. Please don't write this off as me being a dumb American who didn't realize that other places watch the same TV shows, but I just wanted to share things that I thought were really cool and differences versus similarities between our TV shows and our media from the 2000s. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Thank you so much again for watching. Bleib gesund und tschüss!